Hey Giants fans, welcome back to Giants Latest. Unfortunately, the Giants are horrible. So here's what we're going to discuss this week. Today and tomorrow, Monday, Tuesday, we're going to go through the game. We're going to recap the highs and the lows, and we are going to talk about airing our grievances. We're just going to get it all out there, okay? So feel free to let it all out in the comments. And then Wednesday, we're turning the page and we're focusing on the Cowboys. So Wednesday is when we're going to get the first injury report. We're going to have an update on Andrew Thomas, and we're going to start talking about things that this Giants team needs to do over the next couple of days in order to look competitive and hopefully get a win against the Cowboys. Thursday is when we'll really start talking injuries after we get that injury report. So in the meantime, let's talk about how the Giants are embarrassing. They lost to the Commanders 21-6. So I was at the game. I will say this, their stadium is not great compared to, MetLife and some of the others. I had a great time. Commanders fans were nice. The tailgate was fun. And, I would say I probably wouldn't go back until they have the new stadium overall. But it was a fun experience. It's always nice to get to go to an away game. It would have been more fun if the Giants won. So let's talk about all of their problems. Starting with the coaches, because I put a lot of blame on Brian Daboll and this coaching staff, and I'm going to tell you why. Brian Daboll has been the head coach of this football team for 4 years, and in 3 out of 4 years, not only have they not looked competitive, when Andrew Thomas has been on the field, they still can't score a touchdown. They have not scored a touchdown in 3 season openers under Brian Daboll. 3 season openers. It doesn't matter if it's home, doesn't matter if it's away, it doesn't matter who the quarterback is, it doesn't matter who the offensive line is, it doesn't matter who's calling the plays, it doesn't matter what the defensive coordinator does, it doesn't matter. They cannot score a touchdown under Brian Daboll, Mike Kafka, and this offense. So that to me is a huge problem. And it's just so frustrating to me because, we hear all this stuff from Daboll, all of his press conferences, or, when the beat writers ask about, well, what did you guys do differently from last year to this year? You have to get out to a fast start. What are you doing to do that? And Brian Daboll, we made changes every year. We talked to the medical staff about how we can do the trainings differently. We do this, and we based on stats, and we make all these changes, blah, blah, blah. And Daboll always says, we had a good week in practice. Something is not translating, my guy. Something is a problem here, okay? You're supposed to be this offensive genius. You've had, 8 different quarterbacks in the last 4 years since you've been the head coach. You've probably had 100 different variations of the offensive line, which, look, some of that can be blamed on the front office and not bringing in good talent, okay? But the reality is, when you've had that many different offensive linemen and you have Andrew Thomas and you have Illuminor and Runyon, who are guys that you brought in because you decided that this was the right talent for this offensive line, and they still can't function and score a touchdown, something is wrong with the coaching. Something is wrong with the game plan. Something is wrong with all of the players. Why, over the last 3 years specifically, under this coaching staff, can you not score a touchdown on opening day? The worst part about this was the worst out of all the years because the defense did a good job of holding the Commanders, and the Commanders also shot themselves in the foot. So they made a bunch of mistakes, which is why I was looking forward to week 1 because I was like, we don't know what Commanders team we're going to get, right? Week 1, teams are a little sloppy. They make mistakes. They get penalties, interceptions, fumbles, things like that, okay? Week 1, And every other team comes out and scores a touchdown except for the Giants. The Giants were only down by 8 points for almost the entire game. They didn't give up that final touchdown until the last, there were 8 or 9 minutes left in the fourth quarter. So the Giants had over 3 quarters of opportunities to score a touchdown, one of which they were literally on the 3-yard line. The 3-yard line, you guys, in 7 opportunities, they couldn't score a touchdown. What is wrong? What is wrong with that? The coaching can't make players better. They've brought in good talent and they still can't take them to the next level. They're not putting them in a position to succeed. I want to know why on 7 different play calls, the ball wasn't handed to 7 different people. Why didn't Singletary, let's go through them, okay? You have Singletary, Tyrone Tracy, and Cam Scatterbo as 3 running backs. And then you have Malik Neighbors, at least give him 2 targets. Darius Lee and Wandale Robinson, right there is 8 opportunities for different players to get the ball. And yet, no success. It is truly unbelievable. And what is so mind-boggling and frustrating about it is that last year, Andrew Thomas was on the field. He was on the field. He was on the field for the last 2 season openers, and we still couldn't do it. So we're all blaming Andrew Thomas, right? Because this offense is not functional when Andrew Thomas is not on the field, even when he's on the field. They're still not that great. And look, I understand Daniel Jones is part of the problem this year, or last year. Daniel Jones put up 30 points with the Colts. They can figure out their offensive line after only winning a few games last year. Oh, they can figure it out. We can't. 15 years, multiple different GMs, multiple head coaches. We can't figure out an offensive line. Can't do it. It is unbelievable. And there has to be ownership on the coaches here. It is unacceptable for you to come out week one every single year and look like absolute hot garbage and like a football team that has never played football before. Why is Malik Neighbors, your star wide receiver, who is one of the few people on this team who you should be doing everything to make happy, why is he yelling at the coach in the first quarter that this team lacks energy? What is happening during the summer and during preseason that after all those days of practice, this is what happens in week one? What is going on? There are so many problems, and we can't go on about this for like 2 hours. I could, but let's get into the offensive side or dive deep into it. No Andrew Thomas, okay? You have an offensive line that it's like they've never played football before when Andrew Thomas is not on the field. They were serviceable throughout preseason, throughout the summer, and then week one, they have to go against starters who, mind you, the Commanders don't have an amazing defensive line, okay? They have Luvu and they have Von Miller and they have, Payne, who were able to make some plays yesterday. We are not talking about going against the Eagles, the Super Bowl winning team, okay? And Jalen Carter. There is no excuse for this offensive line to be as atrocious as they were yesterday. Greg Van Roten, embarrassing. Got blown up every single play. And you know what pisses me off even more about this? Look, I'm not begging to see Evan Neal. I don't think he looked great this summer, but he wasn't even active. He was not even dressed and ready to go. And do you know that on the depth chart, guess who is the right guard number 2? Evan Neal, who even if they decided during the game, let's try and switch things up and see if we can get something going. Dable is famous for saying, oh, well, we had to create a spark, had to do what we had to do. Even if they wanted to do that, they couldn't. What is that about? Bad roster management. I don't understand it. It's a common theme since Dable and Shane have been here, and it is mind-bogglingly frustrating when it happens week in and week out, year after year after year. It's unbelievable. So today, what do? They sign a UDFA rookie center. Great. You're going to have him suit up and cut Evan Neal? You're going to downgrade Evan Neal to the practice squad? We're finally giving up on Evan Neal? It is so frustrating. And the worst part about all of this when it comes to the O-line is that I don't even have confidence that if Andrew Thomas comes back, the O-line is going to be functional. They were functional with Andrew Thomas last year. They were decent. They were good enough. It was Daniel Jones who was the problem, who wasn't pulling the trigger, who wasn't throwing the ball down the field. Does it with the Colts yesterday. I don't have all the answers. I don't know how to fix it. But these people get paid a lot of money. And to make the same mistakes and to have the same issues every single week for year after year after year, something is not right. And look, Russ also was part of the problem yesterday. He did not look bad. He took sacks he didn't need to take. He bailed on the pocket earlier than he should have. He was not accurate with some of his throws. Malik Neighbors had 12 targets and only 5 receptions because a lot of those throws were nowhere even near him. So yes, Russ is part of the problem. He had a horrible outing. But he also was pressured on 50% of his snapbacks. So, did I say snapback? I meant whatever. You guys know what I'm talking about. I'm losing. It was a long night, okay? So, it's unbelievably frustrating. And my hope is that Andrew Thomas is back Sunday against the Cowboys. Maybe it's wishful thinking. Maybe we're going to get some sort of football luck. I don't know. I don't know what it's going to take, but I think if Andrew Thomas is back, it's going to help Russell, and I think he's going to feel maybe a little bit more comfortable in the pocket. And he has to, because throwing Jackson Dart in there is not going to fix anything, and we're going to get into that later this week. But I want to switch gears to the defense here because, again, I don't want this to be 7 hours long. Shane Bowen, what on God's green earth are you doing? They picked Abdul Carter as the 3rd overall pick. Do you know how many snaps Abdul Carter played yesterday? I'll tell you. There were 70 defensive snaps. Abdul Carter played 38. 38 of them. Why is Abdul Carter not in the game for every goddamn snap? At the very least, if you don't want to make it 100% because he's a rookie, it's first outing, you don't know how it's fine. Make it 85 to 90%. The fact that he was in there for 60% of the snaps? What the hell are you doing? Are you trying to get yourself fired? You were given a gift. Do you know how many other defensive coordinators would have been begging for Abdul Carter on their football team, and Kayvon Thibodeau and Brian Burns and Dexter Lawrence, and you've got an upgraded secondary? What the actual hell are you doing? They blitzed Jaden Daniels 9 times yesterday. When they blitzed him, he was 3 for 9 for 29 yards. So let's abandon the blitz. Let's abandon the one thing that has been going right for this defense. Okay. It is so infuriating. And again, I'm not saying I have all the answers. I don't know how to fix it. One thing I do know is Abdul Carter is one of the best players on this goddamn football team. Why was he not out there more? I don't want to hear shit about the fact that he's a rookie. I don't want to hear it. That is not an excuse. It's not. Because Malik Neighbors plays almost 100% of the snaps. Kayvon Thibodeau has played almost 100% of the snaps since he's been here. There is no excuse for that. I do not want to hear it. Abdul Carter is all football all the time. He knows what he's doing. Put him on the goddamn field. And let's round out with the zone defense, because this is another thing that Shane Bowen just this coaching staff as a whole, it like loves the idea of doing the same shit over and over again and expecting different results. It's called insanity. That is what that is literally called. The definition of it is doing the same thing every single time and expecting different results. So why, Shane Bowen, after we had this issue last year where you repeatedly ran zone and got burned every goddamn time, let's go out and try it week 1 against the Commanders and Deebo Samuel and Terry McLaurin. Sure, let's try it and see how it goes. And when it's not working, and when on 2nd and 12 and 2nd and 19, they convert every goddamn time, let's keep doing it. It's going to work on the 3rd time or the 5th time or the 10th time. It is so mind-bogglingly stupid to watch these people make the same decisions over and over again and think it's going to go differently. I can't do it. I'm going to watch every single game, okay? I just am. But it is so frustrating. I don't want to watch it. I don't want to watch the same shit over and over again. It's called deja vu, and it's been happening for 2 years. It's been happening for longer under Dable, but this is only Bowen's 2nd year. And it's just so unbelievable. You have better talent this year. What are you doing? I was optimistic about you, Bowen. I'm trying to give you the benefit of the doubt here, okay? I'm trying to be an optimistic fan that is like, you know what? He's in year 2. He's got more talent. He's got the help. And you're literally shooting yourself in the foot. You are forcing me to not be optimistic about you. I'm trying, man. I'm trying. I didn't like the hire from the get-go. Certainly didn't like him last year. But again, you got Abdul Carter. And what do? Give him 38 snaps. I can't help you. The Giants can't even help you. They gave you good players and you're still messing it up? What are we doing? I don't know. I don't know what they're doing, but what I do know is that we are going to be back tomorrow talking more crap about the Giants. So air it out. Let's get it out of our systems. And then, like I said, on Wednesday, we're turning the page. But make sure you subscribe because tomorrow we're going back in on this team.